Welcome to a new style of BTS where I show you the raw and the ugly behind the scenes of how I shoot an entire event front to back. In this episode, I'm sharing all the speeches. So at a certain point, we'll be pretty locked into our angles and things, so we'll kind of fast forward through a bit because you'll kind of get the idea and the point. But I'm sharing all of the camera angles rolling all the way through so you can see when I move, adjust, etc. And you'll notice that there's a red border bouncing around. I don't know which way I'm pointing, but that shows the angle that was cut to for the final edit, like that I gave them. So you can kind of see perspective of why I cut to this one. I hope that this is a different insight on behind the scenes that you can kind of relieve some of the stress on your next shoot. You know, you don't have to feel so perfect that your shot has to be perfect all the way through. This is why we have multiple cameras and a wide angle and things like that. So the lens choices we're rocking right now is we've got a crop on an f4 14-30 at the bottom right here. And that's our wide. It's good to just see the entire space, you know what I mean? This is just the shot to cut to. Since shooting this wedding, I'm going into this year, I'm trying to have the wide show to be from their perspective. I would probably put it right off to the side of the groomsmen, you know, to see more of a reaction and wide cam. Just to see the people's faces, but this works really well too because it's just such a massive space. Look at all these tables, and you know, this was great because this venue has a second floor, and anytime that there's a second floor, I'm probably gonna put the wide angle up there regardless because even disregarding what I just said about moving it and having it as a reaction cam, it's just the wide angle is also kind of meant to be completely out of the way so people don't trip over it, walk in front of it, all that kind of stuff. So being able to throw it on the second floor just eliminates all of that. Now to the bottom left, we've got just our standard wide shot, center frame. This is a beautiful frame, just as if you were, somebody sitting in the audience, just raised a little bit so heads aren't in the way of the main action. And this is good to cut to in between things, just kind of whenever I feel like I need a break from the main angle, which is a 70-200 2.8 on another crop sensor. So we're pretty much punched in, I think almost to 300 mil equivalent for this. And the compression kind of makes up for the crop sensor look in a way. I know us filmmakers look at it differently, but again, to the people that don't do this all the time, it does kind of fake them out, and it kind of helps me. It's kind of like a double, a win-win, if you will. Now I felt so good about this one because I got this new SmallRig tripod, fluid head tripod. Finally got one with the sturdy legs and everything. And I put this all the way up, to shoot over the whole crowd. And the fluid head was so nice because we're punched in at 300 here pretty much, an equivalent of 300. And we got a pacer, right? The dad's pacing, yapping, he's pacing. Lots of dads do this. And this was the first one, it was a birthday present. And I told her, I was like, dude, I'm gonna need it for this weekend because I got 2 weddings, blah, blah, blah. She's like, okay, fine, then don't be upset when you don't get anything for your birthday. Dude. This was, I can't tell you. This was so good. I remember I went back, she was like, how was it? I was like, dude, I was so glad I had this tripod because you wouldn't believe it. And I showed her the shots, and I remember my, see here I'm restarting the camera, which is why we cut to the wide, or not the wide, but you get it. And we're back. But I remember I told her, I was like, dude, or my guy that I was shooting with, he was like, dude, the production value just went up so crazy. It's ridiculous. Tripods, man, they're boring pieces of equipment to have to purchase, but you really need them. I should have invested in something like this a long time ago. Now, I only need it because I'm so zoomed in. I only need that quality of a tripod because I'm so zoomed in for this. Because you need that fluid movement with it. And you also need movement because you're so punched in. So if your subject is moving, yeah, it's gonna be really hard. Where like I just have like the typical Manfrotto heads on top that, you know, are a little bit more jittery, but, you know, again, you'll see these bottom two angles are just locked in the whole time. So we don't really need to be panning through that kind of stuff anyways. And if I need to get a little bit closer, or if things are like really moving where I need more than just the tripod, I'll just grab my 50 mil, which I shared in the last episode during the beginning of the ceremony, and just kind of walk through with that, you know, just shooting handheld. And if I need, like sometimes during like the grand entrance into a cake cut, into a couple toasts, that kind of a vibe, then I'll just throw a monopod under it just so that the monopods are so underrated too, man. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the angles. We got a wide, a medium, and a close. 3 is the magic number. And as long as you can as long as each shot has like some kind of more context to it, then I think it really works. So it would be cool to see what this angle would look like as kind of like a reaction cam, and then like a cam, you know, like how the medium shot is at the bottom left here is kind of like a perspective shot. Just cool to mix between those two. But yeah, I think 3 is the magic number. You know, 2 is like bare bones. I think you absolutely need 2. And if it's your second shooter as the other angle, make sure that you have the communication that if you're moving, they're locked into their shot. You know, they don't have anything not focused, or like they're moving, you know, or like adjusting or whatever. Like make sure that they're locked when you move somehow. I think that's the key. So a lot of that is just kind of alleviated with having a wide cam like I have in the bottom right, because, you know, then they can do whatever they need to at the time. The fun fact about the close shot here and the medium shot is we're like right next to each other. We're like right next to each other. I think I actually gave the medium shot the perfect straight down the center shot here, so that the arch was perfectly lined up, because I was probably going to be switching sides just to get, like, because the bridesmaids are on this side, so like if the bridesmaids talking, I'll move like over to shoot them this way so that they're looking in this direction, not looking off the screen. They're looking more into the center of the screen than looking off, you know? And then when the groomsmen are talking, I'll move to the other side. So again, they're talking into the frame and not out of the frame. So that's the Scientology, I guess, there. I know in the last episode I mentioned how I kind of like to shoot like interview style, where like you stay to one angle, but I'll break that, you know, to get like their vows. For this, as you can see, it's kind of the same thing. Like I'm sticking to the left side for the most part, but you know, again, with the way that people speak, you gotta switch to that. But I will prefer to stay on the left side if possible. But he was really staying on the right side because he's the father of the bride, so he was, you know, kind of more in front of the bridesmaids for his speech. So I'm trying to talk as much as these dads do during the during their speeches, but it's just, it's difficult. They're good at it, man. They're good at it. We love them for it. They give us so much context. They give us so much to work with. And you can just tell they're genuine. They're always so stoked to be up there, and it's just really fun to see. I wish that I had my parents, you know, given a speech like this at my wedding. I do feel like, because he's talking to her directly here, I feel like we're at the end of his speech, and then we'll kind of see how we shift here a little bit, and then we'll kind of fast forward through the rest. But I don't know if you can see in the wide cam, I've got my light set up. If you look at the stairs there, you can see I have one of my lights. I've got 2 lights set up. You can see one of them is like, the other one to the left is like kind of in front of the groomsmen, back like a table or 2. I just pointed at him. Thank goodness this venue has, you can see they pulled the shades down, because it was just really harsh otherwise. So it just kind of softens it up a little bit, and it just looks really good. And paired with my, I've got glimmer glass, I forget which strength, I think glimmer glass 1 strength on all of my cameras all the time. just to kind of remove the harshness off of the highlights and make it a little bit more flattering if something is a little too overexposed by like just a fraction. And it softens the skin a little bit. It's really, really nice. But you can see the shadows casting from the lights because they were just so incredibly backlit, and it's completely dark in there. They don't have any other lights in this venue, so I had to hit them with that. And we have some of the uplights happening, and I know that because I'm blasting with my lights, that it kind of takes away from the overall look of those uplights. But you can see in the medium shot here that they're doing just enough work. They're doing just enough, a little bit of a highlight, but you know, you don't really see them in the main shot anyways, so it is what it is. But you see, we kind of just adjusted a little bit there. We've been kind of in the same spot. We didn't have to like move really too much, but we wanted to readjust our exposure, which we just did a little earlier, just to make sure that we're good. Framing wise, I think this is cool to have the groom kind of in the shot a little bit. I would like to have all of them, but I really wanted to punch in. Sometimes I can't punch in enough. I like to be as far back as possible. I don't want to be standing in front of anybody. I hate the guests being like pissy. You know exactly what I'm talking about if you're a videographer. And I just find that it's a win-win. You know, if I'm all the way back, then I'm punched in, like I was talking about with the crop sensor and being into, you know, having all the compression and everything. And I'm also out of the way, you know. The lights are very bright, but I think they kind of forget about them after like 20, 30 seconds. You know, they're kind of just in their peripherals, then they're not really focused. They're focused on, oh my God, what is my dad saying? Oh my God, what is my best man saying right now? Is he gonna embarrass me? They're worried about that kind of stuff. They're not really worried about your lights and kind of like where you are and stuff like that. So, you know, that's all. It all works out. You can see in the wide angle, I'm not even in these back couple tables. I'm even further back than that. So we'll just kind of fast forward from this point to when he's done with his speech and getting into the next speech here. All right, so the cheers happen. I cut back to see the wide shot of everybody cheersing. And I think we're about to move here. We'll zoom out a little bit until he's about to pass the mic out over. Yep. We even already cut to the other shot, but look at this. We didn't have to do that because we just slowly panned over and we're like, hey, this actually looks great. You know, it was just, I guess, the most ideal position possible. So yeah, we didn't even really need to move too much because they're kind of looking, you know, they're pretty centered, you know, they're not having to look, you know, from one side to the other. The table was so big that they didn't have to like stand off to the side or something like that. But we're just gonna safely restart our recording just to make sure that we got what we got locked already. Sometimes I just like to do that. It's worth resyncing it again because, you know, I want to make sure that that was saved, you know, that already was saved and we don't roll the whole time and then like something happens to that recording, we missed the headshot. And I guess if that were to happen, we have the medium shot to cut to, is if we're like from that perspective and we still have those two angles, so that's like bare bones. So we can always afford a camera to go down in a way with the 3 shots as well. But obviously not ideal, but that's another reason why, you know, technology, things happen. So if it did happen, we had another solid 2 angles to cut to, you know. So yeah. This is I think we're pretty locked in here for the rest of the way through these speeches here as well. So we'll just kind of fast forward until you know, the next thing happens, because it's pretty straightforward. We're chilling at this point. All right, the cheers looks great from all angles here. Yeah, man, just cutting to all angles. Everything looks great. DJ just stood up. He's moving. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. We punch back in on them. It would be great to just have a reaction cam with them too if I had multiple cameras, but or multiple zooms, that is. But we only got the one. We only got the one. They're expensive. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and go ahead and check out the ceremony one. We're gonna do the first dances next. We're just gonna do those 3 and see how we liked this, and if you guys like this, and let me know if you want more of this or if I should change anything about it, all that kind of stuff in the comments below. Go ahead and like it since you watched it all the way through. Subscribe so you don't miss more content like this, and I will catch you in the next one.